Hi everyone, this is mrbook451 at outlook.com, Dorset Bob. Welcome to my second YouTube video. I'm not a YouTuber as such. All I'm doing is I'm loading books from nearly 50 years of collecting onto YouTube and selling them. So I thought it was a good way of just being able to show the books, not just have a photograph as they do on other book sites on the internet, but for you to actually see the book. If you're interested in anything I show you, then all you have to do is just send me an email and tell me which book you're after. It would be really useful if you could quote the book with the price, just to help me locate it, because I may have more than one copy of a certain title but at different price points. So today what I'm going to be doing is going through a load of stuff by Michael Moorcock, one of Britain's, or probably Britain's premier fantasy writer. And please forgive me as we do this, because I am not a professional YouTuber or a professional cameraman, so I'm just hoping that this is going to work out. But everything you see here is for sale. So we start with a nice hardback of Moorcock's The Knight of Swords. The dust wrapper does have a little closed tear at the top and a little bit of wear. These early sort of 70s, 80s hardcovers, the lamination does tend to just pull over slightly on them. I've got this one at £15, not price clipped. And the interior's in lovely shape. Nothing I'm going to show you is ex-library. This is from 1977, first hardcover. So I won't show you anything ex-library. If it is ex-library, then I will tell you. But I put this, by the way, underneath a plastic jacket. The plastic is inert. It is not stuck down. It is designed, it used to be called book wrap. I don't know what they call it now, but it is designed for first editions to keep the edges from just getting those scuffs. And it is chemically inert, so it doesn't hurt the paper. Okay, this one's a really sharp copy, and what a cover. This is Elric at the End of Time. Beautiful New English Library hardcover. Interestingly, no barcode printed on the reverse. In lovely shape. This one is £12 because this is actually a second printing. So second impression 1984, but in beautiful, beautiful condition. It's kind of what you would almost say is, you know, straight from the printer kind of thing. So if you're not too bothered whether it's a first or a later printing, you just want a really nice hardcover, then that's obviously for you. And a beautiful size, these 70s, 80s hardcovers, I think, before they got crazy size, as they did. As we go further, we start getting crazy sizes. This is Blood, Sudden Fantasy. Again, lovely condition. This one is a first, not price clipped, £12. And there we are, published by Millennium, part of the Orion Group, from 1995, first printing. So again, lovely copy. There we are. Okay, what else we got? Just move that over there. Okay, something slightly earlier now. Sailor on the Seas of Fate, very striking quartet. Little hardcover with a very striking jacket. Again, really nice condition, just a little bit of a sign of aging on that typography on the spine, but essentially pretty nice. It's just got that age darkening of the lamination, and that is quite typical of books of this period. I think they were kind of experimenting a little bit with lamination, hadn't really got that buttoned down. I've got this one at £25. This is a little bit scarcer to locate in nice condition. This is from 1976 and is a first hardcover. Okay, if I'm going through books and you're thinking, oh, I like the look of that, but I'd just like to take a closer look, just let me know. I can always take further pictures, give you further information from them. Okay, The Dream Thief's Daughter. No dust wrapper on this, decorated boards, printed boards. I've got £8 on this one. Again, lovely condition. Time Warner from the States. There we are, from 2001. So again, if you just want a really nice book on your shelf, that's an idea for you. Okay, Casablanca. Grey cover with Moorcock on a camel. How about that? A really nice copy. I'm not going to take this out of the bag, but really nice copy. 15 quid. I think that's a very reasonable price, Scalance, and that is a first. As I say, if you want me to give you any sort of more information about any of these, just let me know. Okay, great cover, isn't it? The Condition of Muzak, Jerry Cornelius. And there he is with his little cutout uniforms that you can put on him. Alison and Busby. A little bit of wear here and there, a little bit of faulting on the lamination. But books of this period from Alison Busby aren't that common. Again, not price clipped. It's not ex-library. It's £12, this one. Oh yes, this is a reprint, but a same year reprint. It was published in 77 and reprinted straight away in 77. Quite possibly because the libraries took an order and they thought, oh, we can actually sell more than the libraries have taken. It's quite possible the first printing almost exclusively went to libraries because at that time, the mid-70s, the libraries were, of course, the major source of revenue, and we'll see that in a moment. More clearly, this is Laughter of Carthage. Quite a heavy tome, this one. So this is really nice because it hasn't suffered the way large books often do. I've got this one at £20. And you'll see there's just a little bit of drifting of the text block away from the case binding, but that is very normal with a book as big as that, because if you can see on the bottom of the book, there's obviously a gap between the bottom of the textbook and the bottom of the boards. So when that sits on a shelf, what happens? The whole thing just drops slightly and drags and pulls it away from the case binding. So it's almost impossible to find a book like this that doesn't have that little bit of drifting of the text block, unless somebody's gone to the trouble of sliding a load of glue and then clamping it down, but it's just not worth it. It's part of its story as a book. So there we are. Really nice copy. £20 on that one. That's, again, not a reprint. This one I will take out of the bag because this is one of the White Lions. Now, the White Lions are very nice. Maybe I shouldn't have taken that out of the bag. And always when you're doing this, be very careful about the exposed tape that you've got sticking up out of there. Although, again, I've covered this jacket to prevent any snap. This is in absolutely superb condition, considering that, again, this was largely sent to libraries. Few copies made it out, not price clipped, and the black of the jacket is in lovely condition. Often they get lots of scarves and damage, which shows up really badly. This one's in beautiful shape. Actually came from the same collection as many of the paperbacks that you may have seen Steve Andrews and Jules Burt showing of my stock. It does have a little bit of discoloration there from some yellowing and aging to the page edges. That is mainly just the first few pages. And again, that's not uncommon with this book. Just that little bit there. But a book from 1974, first hardcover from Seven House. And what have I got on that? There's £60 on that one. A tough book to find in that sort of condition. So if you are a condition freak, look at that. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And nice and square on the case binding there. Now this is an interesting one. This is, I think, a very scarce book. When I was doing a little bit of research on this, I couldn't find another copy currently for sale on the internet. It's obviously a key title, LREC title. There is a fold across the dust wrapper there. Neat vertical fold. There is some spotting. Now this is interesting. It's a file copy, dated 1972, and it actually gives a price here of $11.36 per 100, which is quite interesting. I can't make out what that says. 2,500 copies printed. That's probably a price for the libraries. I don't know, but that's quite interesting, isn't it? It's probably what I would describe as good condition. There is a little fold on the case there where somebody's read it and flattened it too vigorously. There is some spotting there and dust soiling on the inside of the wrapper, a few little closed tears, but it's not ex-library, obviously. It's the file copy and it's there. And I'm putting the price of £125 on that book. So if that is a book that you are needing for your Moorcock collection, you may well be interested in talk to me further about that book, and I can give you any other information you would like. Okay, let's move to some trade paperbacks. This is a lovely one. Again, beautiful copy. This is one of the quartet books with a dust wrapper. This dust wrapper has artwork here by Chris Foss. Land Leviathan, a scientific romance, no less. A nice copy, a nice crisp, sharp copy. And what am I putting on that? I'm putting £8 on that. So if you are interested, that is a book for £8. And then we have some New Worlds. Now the New Worlds, this is the series, the anthology series that came out after the main magazine run had finished. Now I will be looking at some copies of the magazine in a moment. There were 4 of these. That's not obviously number 4. That's number 3. Number 2 there, and number 1. I do have 2 copies of number 1 and another spare of number 4. If you're interested in those, so do let me know. I think the condition of the duplicates is very similar. This one has a nice crisp red on the spine. This one has a slightly faded one, and the yellow's faded a little bit, so it's just a little bit faded. But the first person to order gets what I would consider to be the best copy, and gets first pick. So those are £6 each. So if you're interested in those, they are £6 each. And if you would like to know more about the contents, then you just have to look on the ISFDB, and they will give you all the details of what's in there. Okay, a Savoy book now, and again, some of these are tough to find in nice shape. Again, it's because they were early laminated and black covers, and often the paper does go very brown. This one is about as good as you're going to get, from 1977, and I've got £12 on that. Okay, so Jan. The Warhound and the World's Pain. Quite a gruesome cover on that one. That's New English Library, again, B format, and that is £6. The Entropy Tango, lovely art on the cover, just slight wear to the edge on the front there. Spine's nice and good, not sunned or faded. So and there's a little dink there, I don't know whether you can see just that on the corner at the back. But again, a nice collectible copy, and that's £5. We've got here, Lord of the Air. This is a later reprint of this book. It's part of a standard series, so if you're collecting this series and you want your B formats to match, this is a good one for you. This is £6, and it's basically as new. It was published at, where are we? $9.95 in the States. So there we are. Okay. Byzantium Endures. Very nice. Nice crisp copy. It does have a bit of spine lean, and the spine is creased. Published originally at £8. What have I got on that? £3. So that's essentially what I would call a reading copy of that B format at £3. And The Laughter of Carthage, Flamingo. Now these large flamingos do have that yellow panel on the spine, which tends to get faded quite quickly. It does have just that little bit of creasing. So again, a nice reading copy at £3. It's got a bit of dust soil, a bit of browning, but you know, £3 for a reading copy. There we are. Of course, the good thing about reading copies is that, you know, if you're ordering 2 or 3 books from me, and I'm going to have to parcel them up and send them through the post in the UK, you get up to 2 kilos for the same price effectively, because once one hardcover can't go large letter, one hardcover got to go small parcel. And once you're into small parcel, you've got 2 kilos for the same price. So you can actually add a book and not actually pay any more for the postage. And of course, that's one of the big advantages of buying from a dealer rather than buying off eBay these days, because eBay sometimes is very difficult for them to combine postage, and you may not, you'll be very lucky to find this kind of spread of Moorcock with one dealer. So there is an advantage with the post. The other thing I must mention is, no, I'll talk about that later actually. I'll talk about that later. Here we've got a few science fantasies, and I put these in just because they've got Moorcock contributions in them. This one, covered by Gerald Quinn, beautiful copy, apart from just that, again, that aging, but it's actually not bad. While the Gods Laugh. This is from 1961, so considering that's from 61, that's pretty good. Okay, and that's a £5. In fact, all these science fantasies are a £5. They're all reasonably similar shape. The Stealer of Souls novelette, so that's completing that issue from 62. And again, you know, a pretty nice copy. Again, a little bit of aging to the white, but you're not really going to find perfect copies of these, I don't think, unless you're very, very fortunate, or unless you try to raid my own collection. Right, 53, number 53, The Eternal Champion in this one. Of course, you get the additional benefit of a Ballard story there, The Watchtowers. That is, again, £5. So, I mean, when you think that's an item that is now, what are we, approaching 75 years old, 70 to 75 years old for a £5 in that sort of condition, personally, I think that's a no-brainer. The Flamebringers, you've got here another story in there by Moorcock. By Aldous. You've got Thomas Burnett Swan. And, you know, this, I think, was a really interesting period for science fantasy. It was that kind of transition almost from traditional SF and fantasy with New Worlds and science fantasy to the new wave. This was the transition period, if you like, where Moorcock is contributing regularly to these, but isn't yet at the helm. Okay. There we are. Again, sort of early 60s. These are all a fiver. They're all very similar condition. This one is just slightly tanned. That's actually from smoking. So if you're really anti-smoking, I'm smelling it. It doesn't really smell of smoke because it will smell of smoke. And this one similarly. These actually came from Ken Bulmer's collection, which I bought many, many years ago. And Ken was a lifelong smoker, cigarettes and pipe, I believe. So a lot of his stuff, you know, just had that aging from being in a study or a library where smoke was present. Again, G.G. Ballard again in this one. There we are, -1 little short story. Lee Harding, really interesting Australian author Lee Harding. I actually personally like Lee Harding a lot. Did a lot of children's stuff. Again, nice book, £5. Here's an oddity, if you're into oddities, and I know 1 or 2 people who've contacted me are into their oddities. This is one of these big sort of adventure stories for boys, look, Searchlight Adventure. This is sort of round about 1960. I got 15 quid on this, and of course you look inside and you think, oh, what on earth is he showing me this for? Johnny Lonesome Comes to Town, A Tale of the Far West by none other than Michael Moorcock. So if you're into unusual Moorcock stuff, it doesn't get much more unusual than that. But of course, Mike Moorcock in the sort of late 50s and early 60s was very much in that scene. He was obviously involved with the Vicar Burroughs magazine and, you know, with that sort of publishing, part of the publishing scene, the kind of comics and what have you. So not that unusual. Let's have a look at some magazines, and I'll try not to pause on these too long because I'm aware I don't want this video to be too long. Vision of Tomorrow, Phil Harbottle's magazine, published in conjunction with some Australian investors. Last Vigil by Moorcock. This is actually, I think this is a really interesting magazine. It's got a lot of really interesting people in it. Bob Shaw, obviously, in this one. Fern, because obviously Phil Harbottle, very much an advocate of Fern and his fiction. Again, I'm going to put a figure of £5 on these magazines just to make it easy peasy. There's another copy of that Vision of Tomorrow. Lovely Eddie Jones cover. BBR, a sort of semi-prosine, I suppose. New speculative fiction by Mike Moorcock. What's that got? The Romanian Question. Yeah, so maybe a little bit more obscure. Again, 2 copies of that because I tend to specialise in the obscure. What's in there? Is there something in there? Oh yeah, just a kind of catalogue in there. NFG, Writing with Attitude. This got an interview with Mike Moorcock in there. Algol from 77, winter 77-78, along with Aldous and Le Guin. What have you got here with Moorcock? Where's he gone? Well, it did say Mike Moorcock on the cover, didn't it? Oh well, if you want a magazine with Mike Moorcock on the cover, it might not actually be inside. That's the one for you. Alberto, the Irish fanzine magazine. Again, interview with Moorcock. If you are collecting, or you know, trying to build a really good Moorcock collection. Why have I put this one in? Oh, Mike Moorcock there mentioned, and Crash, and J.G. Ballard. Again, probably reviews. Nick Royal was involved with this, I believe. It's got Chris Fowler. It's kind of one of those magazines that was about science fiction. A little bit of a tape goes there on the cover. That's The Edge, issue 4. It's from volume 2, number 2. Again, a Moorcock interview in that one. And this one's quite an interesting one. Again, I think this is not terribly easy to get hold of. Word Works, New Writings. This has got a Mike Moorcock story, The Hollow Land. Michael Butterworth in this as well, Simon Elmsley. So yeah, this is not, I don't think, a very common magazine, but again, I put a £5 on that. Okay, right, we're going to go to some magazines now of New Worlds. So there we go, New Worlds. This is one of the later issues from winter 1996 after the main run, and I've got £30 on that. That is quite a scarce magazine. It's a reasonable copy. It's near fine to fine. All this as well. There we are. Pop that over there. This one from the main run, I've got 25 on that. These are all sort of late 60s, early 70s. What are we here? 79. So this is 215 again after that main run. M. John Harrison in that as well. Michael Butterworth. Okay, limited to 1,000 copies, so not terribly common. What have I got on that? I've got 30 on that. Did I show you what I had on that? Yeah, 25 on that, 30 on that. These large format ones are the more desirable ones, of course. Oh, look, the Barbarella cover. Mike Moorcock asks, has the fad for the bad gone too far? A great question we need the answer to. Number 179, 35 on that. Again, I would say a VG copy, possibly a bit better, but I don't want to overgrade. Number 180. New Worlds, these might not all have Moorcock stories. I'm including them obviously because of Moorcock's publishing influence with New Worlds at this stage. He was the publisher at this stage. 25. Dave Gibson, who many of you may have known, the wonderful Dave Gibson, who used to be at Fantasy Centre in London in the Holloway Road back in the, well, I started going there in the early 80s when I moved to London, 80s, 90s and the 2000s. Dave Gibson used to tell me the story that he used to walk to work in the bookshop and walk past Moorcock's flat, and out in the street there'd be cardboard boxes with all these large format New Worlds because they couldn't distribute them. Nobody would buy them, the distributors, so they just used to put them out as freebies outside the flat in the road. And Dave used to say every morning he used to grab a pile and put them in the shop and sell them, and they sold really well. But there we are. Look, Norman Spinrad in this one. All this as well. This is 192, and there's just £20 on that one. So that's a little bit of a bargain. What do we got here? John Brunner, Stand on Zanzibar. Well, it might say Stand on Zanzibar. I don't think for a minute that's Stand on Zanzibar in its entirety, because it's quite a large book. But this one's 30 quid. Quite a lot of these, haven't I? All this in this one, again, this is get towards the late 60s, 25 quid on that. You'll know these by their covers. I'm not going to open them, open them all up and tell you what the issue numbers are. I should have written them on, oh, I've written them on the back. Look, just when I said that, 181 on the back there. They're all sort of in reasonably nice condition. Again, 20 on that one. If you want a sort of more detailed condition report on these, just let me know. That's absolutely no problem at all. The reason why I'm handling them a lot and tilting them is I'm aware that I may be getting some glare down here. £30 on this one. I am using for the first time my phone with my camera mounted on a tripod that's mounted on the table with an extra light, which my daughter Frankie bought me for Father's Day because I told her that I was going to be doing lots of YouTube videos, so very kind of her. We now have possibly one of the rarest issues. In fact, apart from the freebie giveaway issue, this has to be the scarcest issue. This is New Worlds 201. This is special because it was only sent to subscribers, people who had paid for an annual subscription. And according to Mike Ashley in his History of Science Fiction magazine, there were precious few of those at that time. The W.H. Smiths and Menzies and all the distributors of magazines had refused to take it by then. The scandals that were discussed in Parliament put paid to their distribution. They were just too adventurous, too avant-garde for a lot of the mainstream publishing world. And it says a special subscription-only issue. It's got an index. It doesn't have a lot of fiction. It was very, very low print run, very low print run. I have this actually now priced at £400. So this is for the collector who's got the full run of New Worlds, who is desperate, has the full run apart from 201. You know, there were 201 copies in the main run, which obviously, you know, started just just after the war and went right through into the 60s. And this is for the person who's just got to have that that issue. So there we are. Okay, let's have a look at a few paperbacks. I've got some paperbacks here that are designed just as readers. I'll whiz through these. I won't spend too long on these. Again, this is something that you could just, if you were ordering a couple of books, you could say, well, I'll just add this one as a reader. Yeah, the Scaling Tree albino in America. It's just a reader. It's, I don't know, £2. It's, you know, crease spine, whatever. So we'll have £2 on that. The Legends from the End of Time. I actually quite like this series, this Star series. I think they've got some really nice. I love the typography on the cover. The little illustration there. I've got £3 on that. Again, it's just a reader. Let's not get too het up on it. Silver Heart. Written with the wonderful Storm Constantine, who was such a lovely person. Every time she signed a book, you know, she used to take the trouble of chatting to you and saying, oh, how you doing? You know, what's your name? And da-da-da. And she'd write a little special message in the books. She just had so much time for everybody, and it was such a shame with her passing. She, I think, never got to the kind of heights that she should have done with the quality of her work. Somebody who I think will get revisited as we look back at some of the writers from that period. But her only collaboration, I believe, with Mike Moorcock, Silver Heart. So again, just a reader, £3. A couple more, just in a series. Stormbringer, a classic, and The Bane of the Black Sword. Again, just £3 each. And if you want value for money, the whole Chronicles of Corum, one of the Grafton combined edition, 3 books in one. It says 4, it's 3, it's £1 a book. If you want to think about it that way, it's £1 a book. Okay, let's get through the rest of these paperbacks. Fireclown. This is one of the Compact SF titles. It's a nice sharp copy in most respects, with a reasonably sharp spine, a little bit of wear top and tail, but it does have where somebody's tried to remove the sticker without using the magic ingredient, which I'll tell you about in my next film. So if you'd like to find out what the magic ingredient is to get all stickers off books without damage, and it's not lighter fluid, I would never put lighter fluid anywhere near my book collection, believe me. But if you want to know, you'll have to watch the next one. There we are, Fireclown. What have I got on that? I didn't put the price inside. But that's £9. Okay, Fireclown's 9. We'll do the other one, The Twilight Man. This is probably a bit sharper, this copy. And again, these compacts, because they're black spines and just because of their construction, they're never particularly crisp. A lot of them actually were printed just down the road from me here in Dorset in Bournemouth, at the Richmond Hill Printing Works, which printed the Bournemouth Evening Echo. And it's almost like they used the same quality of paper as they did on the newspapers, but I'm sure they didn't. That's 15 on that one. It's a tough one to find in really nice shape, and I think that one is pretty good. So we've got 15 on that. Gloriana. I think this is reasonably uncommon, this Fontana. Again, nice ungreased spine. It's got a little bit, I'll just push it into the middle there, a little bit of a ghost from some damp. So it's obviously been sitting on a shelf and just got damp at some point. The damp has just gone up into that spine just a little bit. But again, I'm being really picky. There you can see on the corner there. But it's not too bad. But I don't think this is terribly common to find this one in nice shape. It is a first printing. I got £6 on it. It has got a bit of aging there, a bit of spotting inside. That sort of orange foxing or spotting, whatever you call it. But it's a nice crisp copy there at £6. Right, I mentioned these before, these star books. Unfortunately, this one's got a knackered spine, but they're really nice. Really, really nice. I got £4 on this one. Transformation of Miss Mavis Ming. And Legends from the End of Time. This is better. Much better spine on this one. This is 6. Really nice spine. It's a great little series to collect. I just love that cover design and the typography using that large type. Very, very much my thing, because I was involved in print and design in the 80s and 80s and early 90s, and that's very sort of reminiscent of what was popular at that time. Warlord of the Air. This is a first UK paperback at £8. Sorry, did I tell you Legend for the End of Time was 6? Yeah. There we are. Very nice. New English Library, and a pretty good copy. A little bit, as you can see, the typography on the spine maybe has become a little bit faded. There was probably a little bit more sort of browny orange in there at one point, but not too bad. I mean, if I just do that, you'll see that the blue is not terribly faded. They've got £8 on this one. Some of these New English Libraries from that period are not easy to find, and it is nice and sharp at the edges, very nice and sharp. I protect a lot of the books that I'm going to show you in these bags. These bags are, and if you use them with proper invisible tape, they are essential for protecting, and they are produced by a company in the States called BCW. They are for collectors, and the bags, I distribute them in the UK. Well, I retail them in the UK. I bring them in bulk, and I sell them for £9.95 a 100. So they come in packs of 100. So it's £9.95 plus £2 postage for 100. But the advantage is, if you buy 200, I can still get them large letter. So they'll still go through that window in the post office, large letter. So 200, I still only charge £2 postage. So it's effectively £1 postage for each pack. So 2 packs will cost you £9.85 times 2 plus £2 postage. So just send me an email, send me an email at mrbook451, that's MR, not Mr in full, mrbook451 outlook.com, and I will happily quote you for those bags. I had so many people asking me for them, I thought, well, do you know what, I might as well bring them in and sell them, and for a while they've been out of stock on Amazon. I think I'm actually just undercutting Amazon as well. Breakfast in the Ruins, lovely copy of that, and again with one of those classic New English Library covers. There, look at what's that. I've got that first paperback edition at £9. Okay, Wrecks of Time. I've got 5 copies of the Wrecks of Time, left to right. So that's probably the best copy. It's not bad. It's got a little bit of surface wear. They didn't have a lot of lamination on these, but it's nice and crisp inside. What have I got on that? I've got 10 on that. So that's pretty good. It's one of those doubles where you turn it over and you've got another book on the other side. So we've got that one at 10. Let me go through them in order. This one is pretty similar. Yeah, I've got 10 on that. There's almost nothing to tell between them. In fact, that's probably the better one. If you're the first to order, you get the best, and you say, I want the best copy, you'll get the best copy. Unless you say, no, give me the £6 copy, because this is the £6 copy, perfectly nice collectible copy, and it's £6. I mean, it's an absolute bargain. This one's okay. It's got one sort of heavy vertical spine crease, a little bit grubby on the cover, so that's now then going down to £4. It's really, we're entering almost reader copy territory. This is now reader copy And what have I got? Look, I put £1 on that. That's obviously been in stock for quite a long time. It's £1. So if you want that one, you want to add it to an order, it's £1, all right? I've got a second copy of The Twilight Man. This was the copy I showed you a minute ago. I've got a second copy here. This one is, it's got the 3 and 6, but somebody put a label over that, then wrote another price over that. So it's been through several people's hands. That one's a £5. It's still sort of what I would class as collectible, but only just. But it's a £5. There we go. Okay. I've got a few more interesting paperbacks to show you. I will just grab them from behind this stack. Where are we? This is where you find out just how amateur this video is. Let me move some of these away so I can get to the ones at the back. There we go. There we are. I don't care what anybody thinks of the quality of the video. It's the quality of the books you're buying that really matters. And look at that quality. That is beautiful. The Time Dweller, Mayflower. Very little signs of aging on that. It is a second, but with a different cover. No, I beg your pardon. I think this is the same cover as the first paperback. You'd need to check that on ISTB, the database, science fiction database. I've got £8 on that just because it's in such lovely condition. 30p when it came out. If you were lucky enough to buy it when it came out, like probably Steve Andrews did, and you've kept it, then you've got yourself that sort of bargain. These aren't in any particular order. This is an interesting one. Unicorn Fantasy. This was published by the Unicorn Bookshop in Brighton. There we are, Unicorn Bookshop, Brighton. And I remember going to Brighton back in the day regularly. And these were all over the place, and so were all the other things they produced, but sadly they are no longer there. The Jade Man's Eyes. Very nice. Okay, that's a tenner on that one. It does tend to suffer, this one, from falling apart. All the books they did, and if anyone out there remembers them or used to work there or was involved in printing, I do apologise, but in my opinion, they always fall apart. There we are. It's not too bad. Now we've got some Lancers. Now these, I think, are starting to get very, very scarce. Secret of the Rune Staff, this one. These are, in the main, first editions. This is a first printing. Again, very little aging inside. These are almost new. £12 I've got on this one. And look, that's 1969, dedicated to Jim Cawthorne, who did a lot of art. Did Jim Cawthorne do the cover? He probably did. Otherwise it'd be a bit odd to dedicate it to him. Can I see that? Hang on. I'm not sure he did. I'm showing my ignorance of Moorcock's cover art. I do apologise. But there we are. Beautiful, beautiful copy. As is this. Just a little bit of surface wear there, but I mean, really, look, the type there, no fading on that at all. Yeah, pretty good for a book that's largely white. Just a little bit of spotting there, just that sort of foxing appearing at the edges. Again, I got £12 on this one, but it's, you know, I'd like to say this is unread 1968, and do you know, if you're a collector, you'll know what I mean. Sometimes books just have that feel of being unread, don't they? And that one and this next one just have that feel that somebody bought them and thought, oh, that's a nice book, stuck it in a box or a cupboard or a shelf out of the sun. Because again, there's a little bit of fading there, but not really that bad. And they never read them. You know, they probably, I don't know, read the first chapter or something carefully. There are people who read books like that, right? It's tough. I tend to wait for a battered copy if I want to read something, and I read a battered copy. I don't think I would read this. Look, dedicated to Ed and Lee Brackett Hamilton. Edmund Hamilton, obviously, married to Lee Brackett. 68, beautiful, 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 beautiful. As is The Jewel in the Skull. Now, we're starting to get in some books here that really are in very, very nice shape. This one is okay, and again, because it's black, it's Lancer. It's got a little bit of surface wear, but it's really sharp. I've got 12 quid on that. Okay, and a lot of people like these American paperbacks because they're just so evocative of that sort of 60s, 70s era of paperback publishing. Some of these now are from the collection you will have seen if you follow Jules Burt and Steve Andrews on YouTube, two excellent book YouTubers. And thank you to both of them. They've been so helpful to me over the last 6 months in inspiring me to start using YouTube for sales. Look at that. Christopher Tannerlawn or Taylor. Beautiful, beautiful. I've put £20 on that. It's a first printing of a Mayflower science fantasy. I don't think you're going to find much better than that. Similarly with this, just look at that. The story was that this came from a collection where the guy bought books and just stuck them in boxes. He bought books to collect and to read. So if he wanted to collect it and read it, he bought 2 copies. One to read and one to collect. Well, that means that somebody out there's got the chance of buying a beautiful book today for £15. And when you think that any old paperback in Waterstones or wherever is going to cost you a tenner, average price now, actually vintage paperbacks I think are an absolute bargain. When you think how old that is, you know, best part of 50 years old. And yes, okay, little bit of surface wear down there, little bit. But I got 15 on that. Count Brass. See, to me, this is what I would be collecting today, is the books that I remember when I was growing up in the sort of very late 60s, but mainly 70s and 80s, and getting into science fiction and fantasy and horror and reading this stuff, and remember buying these from Smith's and whatever. This is what I'd be collecting if I was starting to collect. Of course, I'm not. I'm selling my collection. But there we are. There's £20 on that. I'll go a bit faster. I can't get over to you effectively how crisp and sharp these really are. I really would defy anyone to find better copies of these available. They're usually so well read because somebody like Moorcock, you see more, you go, oh, I read that. And they get traded and, you know, resold several times through second-hand book dealers. And, you know, they just lose that crisp, new type feel. Again, Mayflower, these are all first printings. £20 on that. So again, if somebody says £20 for an old paperback, yeah, well, if you're one of those people, you don't really understand what collecting paperbacks is all about. Because collecting paperbacks is all about condition, edition, and author. Now, you wrap those 3 together and you produce a book that is special. A book that is special should not be 4 or 5 quid. If it is 4 or 5 quid, I'm buying it and I'm reselling it, okay? It's as simple as that. Again, this is one that, you know, I've got that hardcover of it, but this is a series that if you just want, you're happy with the Millennium reprints and you just wanted it, you know, I think they did loads in this series. This is actually a first paperback, so it's 8 quid. But I'm pretty sure this was part of the series where they just, you know, published a load in that sort of same format. So if you're somebody who likes to collect books in a similar format, and I do, because I collect by publisher as well as by author, then keep an eye out for those. The Life and Times of Jerry Cornelius. Look at that. Again, Futura. Quartet book, so this is just as their sort of branding is doing that crossover. First paperback, £8, beautiful copy. Not quite as good as those others because I'll show you why. Look, I'll show you the difference between keeping something in a box, yeah, and not keeping it in a box. That's the difference between keeping it in a box and not keeping it in a box. Because the paper was just cheap paper. I mean, people didn't see paperbacks as being collectible. Back then, they were just things to read. Hardcovers were things that the libraries bought. Ordinary people didn't buy hardcovers. They just bought the paperback and read it. I've got 9 on this one. First UK paperback. I think this was a Door Stormbringer. And obviously, I think it was Herbert Jenkins did the hardcover from memory in the early 60s. A very tough book to find. So again, this beautiful condition, 5 shillings on that, so that must be 60s. Bull and the Spear, very, very distinctive artwork on that. It's okay, this one. It's sort of, I would say, VG+. It's got a bit of aging to the page edges and whatever. It's nice and tight, but it's not in the same league as those others. It's a first paperback, it's £5. Okay, so it's a collectible book, but not in the same league as those. Finally, for this one star book, this is an anthology that Moorcock edited before Armageddon. Wonderful artwork. Got £6 on this. There we are. So, anything you're interested in, just send me an email, mrbook451 @outlook.com, and that's MR for Mr, not Mr in full. I'll just put that again in front of you so you've got that. Mr Book is spelt like that. And I got these. I hope these are going under the camera all right. So again, I'm doing one take because I've no idea how to edit a video. I've no idea about all that technical stuff. So I hope I'm not trying to make a piece of Hollywood. I'm just trying to sell some books from my collection. So just remember, you never regret the books you buy. You only regret the ones you didn't buy. You go, oh, I wish I'd bought that. Oh, why didn't I get that while I had the oh, why didn't I buy that at the time? So just a reminder, you never regret them really, the ones you buy. You can always move them on to somebody else. But it's the ones you pass up that you regret. So this is Mr. Book 451, Dorset Bob, saying thank you very much for looking at this, and I hope to upload some more very soon. Okay, cheers. Bye-bye now. Bye.